Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast, a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today.
Welcome to GSMC, America's Still Beautiful podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Hello, everybody. How is it going today? I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Happy Thursday. I hope you're feeling good this week. Hope you've been spreading kindness every single chance that you get. I am back with more feel-good, positive stories to share with you. I'm feeling extra good today. I feel the sun is shining. I feel energetic. I feel ready to share all of these positive stories with you. Like always, I have some really amazing stories to share with you today. I have some stories that are gonna tug at your heartstrings. I've got some positive things about the pandemic because you know me. I gotta bring something positive about the pandemic. I got some things about space. I got some things about nature and our environment and just big things that are happening all over the world. So I will shut up. I will stop rambling on about how awesome today's episode is going to be, and I will just start to share all of the awesome stories. So the first story that I do want to share with you, it's about a woman who, she lost her wedding ring just shortly after she got married, okay? So this is quite a long time ago. And she lost her wedding ring in the garden about 4 decades ago. And now she just found it buried in the soil. And this is just days before her 40th wedding anniversary, which is pretty cool. So she's 65 years old. Her name is Paula Walter. And she lost this band back in 1983 when she was playing catch with her son outside of her home. And the ring flew off her finger as they were just like running through the garden. And you know, despite conducting a very long search party of the grounds with a metal detector, she never found her wedding ring. Can you imagine how, like, traumatizing that would be? It would just be a terrible feeling right after you got married. So she tied the knot with her husband, Joe, who is 73 years old. This is on August 28th, 1983. And she was just heartbroken by the disappearance of her wedding ring. It was a very nice wedding ring, an 18-karat gold band, like just absolutely loved it, of course, right? So she says, my house backs onto woodland and I thought possibly that the ring flew in there. I thought it was gone forever. So over the years, whenever we've been in the garden or out there, I've always said, have a look for the ring, but we've never found it. So now, just recently, this past month, she rediscovered her wedding ring. So she got pretty lucky, and she hired a local landscaping company to clean up her garden a few days before her wedding anniversary. So they just came in to landscape the garden, and she actually told them about the ring and the whole story, like just in conversation. So the yard had been dug up multiple times in the past, right? Like 40 years is a very long time. But I guess this one time the gardeners struck gold, literally. She says they called me out into the garden and a while later saying they had a surprise for me and they handed me my wedding ring. It was in the garden where I was standing and where I had been playing ball with my son all those years ago. So she was so shocked but incredibly grateful, and it's just wonderful to have the wedding ring back. I wanted to share that story with you guys. I thought it was a pretty cool story. We should never lose hope on the things that we cherish and love because you never know when a landscaping company is going to come in and find your wedding band. So there you go. Now I want to share with you a story about the world's largest rooftop greenhouse. It's actually in Montreal, and it's as big as 3 football fields. Okay, and that's just not the coolest part. The coolest part is that it can now produce enough food to feed nearly 2% of the city's population, even in wintertime, which is pretty cool. So rooftop gardening is becoming very popular as a means of getting high quality produce, of course, just into the world's great cities. It's a method that has the double advantage of cutting back on tailpipe emissions and spoilage from the otherwise necessary transportation of food, of course. So this launched back in 2009. It's called Loofah Farms, and it now has 4 rooftop gardens. And the latest addition to this company is, is their own. They have their own distribution center of 160,000 square feet. So that's about 15,000 square meters. So it's about the size of 3 football fields, and it cultivates 100 different varieties of fruits and vegetables using hydroponics. So it's pretty cool. This garden utilizes pipes in which the roots of the plant can dangle freely, and where a stream then bathes them in essential nutrients and water, eliminating the need for soil entirely. How cool is that? So it's headquartered in Canada. Loofah Farms was founded in 2009, like I said. It's by a Lebanese-born, his name is Mohammed Hage, and his American wife, Lauren Rathmel. They're from Vermont. And Loofah Farms, the spokesperson, they explain that they produce food next to where most people live, but in a sustainable way, which some experts believe is the future of agriculture that's coming. So they say that we are now able to feed almost 2% of Montreal with greenhouses and our partner farms. And the advantage of being on a roof is that you recover a lot of energy from the bottom of the building. So basically saying that they can save a significant amount on heating during the very cold Quebec winters. I don't know if you know anything about Quebec, Montreal, Canada in general, really. It's freezing. So I am born and raised Canadian girl. So it's cold. Winters are cold. So this story is super cool to me. I did not know this is a possibility. So now savings can also be found, in the water use department, where Loofah Farms has a rainwater collection system that actually reduces time spent running taps by 90%, which is pretty cool. So ladybugs, wasps, and bumblebees work in tandem as both pollinators and pest control during this. So these energy efficient and environmentally friendly practices are on top of a year-on-year profitable business, and they employ 500 people, and they sell $30 produce baskets for 20,000 families all a week, which is just incredible. And this is all while running a distribution service under the greenhouse that connects local artisan food makers that produce things like fresh pasta to Montreal houses, and with all home delivery as well. So it's that kind of service that's really exploding in popularity in both the restaurant and grocery industry around the world. So now Loofah Farms is now capitalizing on that to export its models to cities across the US and Canada, of course. And that's just really good food news for everybody, right? How cool is that? Also, that is a giant rooftop greenhouse, the size of 3 football fields. That really puts it into perspective for me. But it can feed up to nearly 2% of the city, which is just incredible. So there you have it. Positive thing that can affect all of us. Now, the next thing I want to share with you, I don't know if I'm sure you've heard this name before, Chrissy Teigen, okay? Chrissy Teigen has some pretty impressive credits. She's been in Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. She has a cookbook. She's a television personality. She's just an internet sensation. If you know Chrissy Teigen at all, she's quite known for her tweets. She has a lot of hilarious tweets with her husband, and she actually went onto Twitter and she asked teachers to send their wish lists. And then she fulfilled them, by the dozens, okay? So cool. So she, along with all these impressive credits that she has with, swimsuit model, cookbook, television personality, internet sensation, they are now hailing her as a fairy godmother and a education warrior to the list of her credits, which is just so cool. So she will be homeschooling her daughter. Her name is Luna. Just this year, she posted a photo of their home classroom to Twitter. And then she generously basically invited teachers to send their Amazon wish lists. She basically said, if you are a teacher in need of supplies for the upcoming school year, please drop your Amazon wish list here. I will do as many as I can. And so if you actually go to her Twitter profile, you will see her beautiful book wall in her home. It is just stunning that she's made up for her daughter. And then she did tweet saying, if you were a teacher and needed these supplies, please drop your list, and she wanted to fulfill as many as she can. And of course, the response was more than overwhelming. It's just incredible. So teachers, as well as their friends and family, they all reached out to Tegan to try to take her up on her generous offer. And teachers have traditionally purchased classroom supplies that school budgets don't cover. But since COVID-19 has totally changed the landscape of education, right? It's so different right now. So virtual classrooms or hybrid learning that combines at-home and on-site classes have become the new normal, right? So although the fundamental education supplies and equipment needed to meet these changes continue to evolve as we do kind of feel our way through this pandemic change, and it's basically just by trial and error, right? It's new to everybody. But teachers are still the ones who must often pick up the slack in this area. So after making her announcement, she spent the rest of the day fulfilling requests, only taking time for a much-needed snack break. She said, she tweeted, "Okay, I'm going to take a little break to eat my 12-inch Subway meatball sub. You cannot tell me this is gross. I know, and I don't care, but I'll be back at it." She's so funny. She's great. But by the day's end, she chalked up to about 50 wish lists fulfilled, plus a few added extras for teachers in need. So she did tweet again. She said, "Today I cleared 50 entire lists and countless extra items were purchased from lovely people just passing through. We'll do more this week and would love to focus on struggling districts and special needs. Please keep posting in this thread." So there is a literal giant thread on her Twitter page. This was just at the end of August, so I'm sure this is still going on. But if you are a teacher or you know somebody that's in need, it does not hurt to try to reach out to Chrissy Teigen. Her Twitter account is literally just Chrissy Teigen, and you will see this thread where people are commenting. From the screenshot that I have, there were already 6.6 thousand people are tweeting about this. This was just the 2 minutes after she posted it. 37,000 likes as well, 2 minutes after she posted it. So people are blowing this up. So go help out if you can. Go tag your friends if you need the teachers that are needed, and see if Chrissy Teigen can also help you. All right, well, it is time for a little bit of a break, but do not go anywhere. When I get back, I have some more really cool stories. The next one I want to share with you is actually about space. It's the biggest bane since what we call the Big Bang, and it creates a black hole that science says should not exist. You do not want to miss it. It's a super interesting story. Plus, I got more feel-good, positive stories to share with you. So stay tuned. I will be right back.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to GSMC, America's Still Beautiful podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Hello, we are back. Okay, so I just shared some awesome stories about Chrissy Teigen, about the world's biggest greenhouse that's feeding up to 2% of Montreal at the moment, which is just incredible. So now I do want to share something that's kind of positive about the pandemic. Because you know me, I got to add at least one positive story about it. So this positive story is actually about a survey. You guys also know how much I love my surveys. I don't know why. I just find them so interesting. I guess to just find out people's opinions on subjects that I'm probably opinionated about. Anyways, so they are saying that millennials are getting handier around the home since the lockdown measures have begun. So I know a lot of people have been doing home improvements, they've been doing renovations, they've been creating projects that are just like more handy. Basically all the things that we feel like we never have time for, but we want to do. People have taken the lockdown, the pandemic to do those things. And so this survey was about 2,000 homeowners found that compared to other generations, millennials have been the busiest, okay, with 81% having tackled a home improvement project since March. 81%, and I believe it. That's a lot, but I believe it. I feel like I've seen so many things on social media. I am like no different. I'm a little bit late to the gun. I am now starting my own kind of home renovation project. I know I'm late from the lockdown, but I am on it. I am doing it. So I do not find this hard to believe. So this poll, the survey basically examined various home improvement projects that American homeowners have completed while stay-at-home orders have been in effect. And they choose to take them on in the first place just because of this. So 2/3 of the respondents say that they tackled their project to save money, while 49% simply needed something to keep themselves busy during lockdown, which makes sense. But the average homeowner has attempted 4 different home improvement projects since March, and they saved about an estimated $160 simply by attempting to complete a project themselves, of course, instead of hiring somebody or whatever the case is, right? So 32% saying painting the house, 29% say working on landscaping projects outside, recackling 27%, retiling kitchens and bathrooms 24%. Homeowners have basically just kept themselves busy these past 6 months. So not only have these projects kept homeowners busy, but they have also led to new hobbies, which I think this is so cool. I found so many people become so more like artistic, I guess, right now, and like handy that way, because 73% of those who tackled a home improvement project on their own revealed that afterwards they felt resilient enough to keep taking on more projects, and 67% of homeowners look forward to tackling more projects in the future. I feel like this lockdown, I know there was a lot of negatives to it, but I feel like it really kind of amped people's drive into just doing things on their own. Like, I feel like we've really learned how to function by ourselves. I don't know. I know we should always know how to function by ourselves, but I feel like it's always just been easy to call somebody an expert to do it. And that's what we have, experts. There's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like people have really taken this opportunity to just learn new hobbies and new tricks themselves. So 71% of homeowners still said that their home is a work in progress. And yes, they say that 67% of homeowners do look forward to tackling more projects in the future, and a lot of them because the work is in progress. I feel like once you start doing some construction in your home or some like home improvements, you like, oh, I might as well do this, I might as well do that, I might as well do that. And then all of a sudden your house is like a construction zone and you gotta like put up caution tape so your kids aren't like running into things. But you know, homeowners surveyed, 50% plan on doing a DIY home improvement project before the end of this year. So yeah, it's just amping people up to get things done. Holiday prep projects that include like bathroom and kitchen renovation, filling driveway cracks has been a thing, fixing patio landscape, replacing countertops, kitchen floors. Those have all kind of been the most popular things. But there you go, a positive story about the pandemic. You know I had to do it. Now, I did promise before the break I was going to share this story about the biggest bane since the Big Bang, and it creates a black hole that science says should not exist. So, shockwaves through space-time from the largest intergalactic explosion ever recorded since the Big Bang, it recently passed our solar system, okay? And in a fraction of a second, an amount of energy equal to 1 quadrillion atomic bombs was released into the universe in the form of gravitational waves. And traveling at the speed of light, they only reached Earth 7 billion years after the detonation. So the shockwaves were discovered by the gravitational wave detectors. They're called LIGO in the US, LIGO, and Virgo in Italy. And researchers concluded that the result of this galactic merger, perhaps the most dramatic event in space, when 2 black holes find themselves caught in each other's orbit before spiraling into one another. which is just, I don't understand space science, but I find it so interesting. So speculating for National Geographic, an astronomer, his name is Matthew Graham, and he described it as probably the largest explosion we've known in the universe. While his university colleague, his name's Alan Weinstein, he remarked to one of these posts saying that 0.10 second event just sounds like a thud, and that it really doesn't sound like much on a speaker. So galactic mergers, I guess, are known and recorded events, but scientists' models suggest that this one created a previously unknown interstellar object, which is a black hole 142 times the mass of our sun. 142 times the mass of our sun. It's incredible. And it's previously unknown because black holes are recorded as either a few times bigger than our sun or millions and perhaps even billions of times bigger than our sun, around which entire galaxies revolve them. So the recent explosion figure sits in a place where traditional astrophysics state it shouldn't be. And based on the understood mechanisms by which a star becomes either a black hole or a supernova. So as gravity compresses the mass of a star inward, the light it generates pushes it outward, creating a delicate balancing act. And changes in the amounts of positrons and electrons can result in a drop in pressure within the star, causing it to compress further and heat up as well. So as this result, it replicates over time, and a pair instability supernova will blast the star's matter outward, preventing a collapse into a black hole. I hope this is making sense, because it's only making a little bit sense to me when I started to research this story, but I find it so interesting. So continuing the coverage of the momental event within the astrophysics community, they actually interviewed a LIGO team member, Christopher Berry, who noted how the recent explosion and subsequent black hole merger is impossible within current models. They said that this is shocking because it's where we expect black holes not to exist, and it's smack bang in the range you'd expect pair instability. So along with setting the record for the biggest bang since the Big Bang, the recent merger explosion has opened up an entirely new avenue of research for the infinitely dense and infinitely curious objects. But I hope that got you excited as well for this new research that is yet to come. I find it so crazy how these amazing big explosions are happening in space and stuff around us, and we have just no idea. Like, I would just have no idea that any of this happened if I didn't pay attention to these stories and get to read them out to you guys. So I just find it so crazy cool. But anyways, it is time for another break. When we get back, I'm going to finish off today's episode with maybe 4 really awesome stories that I cannot wait to share with you. Have you ever heard of a musician playing music through fruit? Yes, that is a thing. I have a story about it. It's a little weird, but it's really cool. So I'm going to share that story with you. I'm also going to share a story about how New York turned the world's largest garbage dump into a green oasis of native grasses, and it also powers homes. So a lot of cool things to come. I also have another historic event that I want to share with you. So do not go anywhere. I got lots more to share, and I will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to GSMC, America's Still Beautiful podcast. Hello. My name is Alyssa Jo. In case you forgot, I am your host, and I am super happy to be sharing all these positive feel-good stories with you. It just uplifts my day as much as I hope it uplifts yours. So let's finish off today's episode with a few pretty powerful stories that I cannot wait to share. I'm going to stop rambling on again, and I'm going to jump right into it. So I don't know if you've ever heard of people playing music through fruit, but this could be a first-time thing. This definitely was a first-time thing for me. As we know, instruments can come in all shapes and sizes, right? There's so much to music. There's so much to instruments. But there is this company, it's called Playtron, and they have created a MIDI device, M-I-D-I device, that allows you to play fruits and vegetables. Yes. Okay? Yes. So a YouTuber called Mezerg, I'm probably not saying that right, M-E-Z-E-R-G, that's his YouTube handle if you do want to go check that out. But he actually created a viral kind of electric song, and its corresponding music video called Watermelon, and he is literally playing slices of watermelon, okay? You do not want to miss this video. It has gone viral. Maybe you've heard of it before, but go over to his YouTube channel and check this out. So this device is called a Playtronica, and it works on smartphones and tablets, provided that you have the correct adapter in a music application, such as like GarageBand or something, but there's so many different music applications that GarageBand will just automatically come on your Apple laptop if you have one. But it is compatible with most musical gadgets with a USB MIDI input, so you can get the right adapter. But simply connects cables to your fruits and veggies, and it completes the circuit by touching the ground wire with one hand and note wire with the other. So Mezerg has created this song, this video. It's crazy. Search it up. So his YouTube is Mezerg. It's called Watermelon, and yes, he is literally playing pieces of watermelon. You probably don't believe me because it's a little outrageous, but it is true. So go check that out. I will actually definitely post it up as a link on one of our social media pages. I can post it up on our Twitter page. So I'll post a link to that so you can check that out because it's crazy. It's incredible. It's the weirdest thing you've ever seen, but it is so, so cool. Now, New York has turned the world's largest garbage dump into a green oasis of native grasses, and it also powers homes. This is crazy. So the world's largest landfill closed down, and then New York State officials and nonprofit facilitated that's a decades-long transition from dump to green outdoor space. And it's creating a park that's 3 times the size of Central Park, which is not easy, right? And the conversion has involved goats, using landfill fumes to methane power homes, and plenty of manpower as buried trash gets turned into rolling hills of native grass. Crazy, right? So Fresh Kills landfill, once the dumping site for all of New York's garbage, was a place that once terrorized Staten Islanders with odors, and the site of trash mounds said to have reached about 20 stories high. Like, just crazy. But now it's literally months away from reopening as one of the world's greatest rewilding projects in the boundaries of one of the most densely populated areas in the Western Hemisphere. So originally they promised us a park by former Mayor Michael Bloomberg during a dip in the polls, but the dump closed in 2001, allowing sanitation department officials to begin work to control the pollution. So the desire to turn it into a park led the Department of City Planning to host an international design competition, and the project for creating New York City's largest park construction in over a century eventually went to the field operations firm. So basically, trucks of iron-rich soil were brought in from New Jersey to cover plastic sheeting that capped the garbage mounds, which is what they're calling it, staining local roads red, while methane extraction pipes channeled the fumes of the underground into the Staten Island homes to power heating and stoves. And then next, concrete traps were constructed to funnel rainwater quickly away from the trash hills, and a local park was restored, along with the baseball diamond, handball courts, and playgrounds. And goats were brought in for their ecological restoration abilities in 2012. So a lot of work has gone into this. And the mounds are separated by tidal creeks and natural waterways, which recapture the image of the Dutch word kill for tidal marsh and wetlands that gave the area its curious name, Fresh Kills. That was like back in 1930. So they're keeping all of that. So it's turning the world's largest landfill that once home to 150 million tons of trash into a 2,200 acre state park. Takes a lot of time, right? But the plan is for Fresh Kills to open in stages, starting with the North Park Phase 1, and then that's 21 acres will open to the public next spring, and continuing basically incrementally for another decade and a half. It'll slowly start to open. But the Fresh Kills website, it actually features some 360-degree pictures that kind of allows you to understand not only the scope of the park, but a chance to imagine what was there before. The difference is just absolutely incredible. So head over to freshkills.com and you can see that 360 images and just really get a grasp of how amazing this is. Now, I want to share with you a really historic thing. So there was a historic $100 million gift from Bloomberg, and so Mayor Mike Bloomberg, and it's going to increase number of Black doctors and improve minority health. So former New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg, he announced this new financial gift in support of 4 historically Black medical schools to increase the number of Black doctors in the U.S. The money will significantly reduce the debt burden of approximately 800 medical students, many of whom face, increased financial pressure, of course, due to COVID-19. So the Bloomberg Philanthropies gift is the largest ever received by Meharry Medical College, Howard University College of Medicine, and Morehouse School of Medicine, and Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science. And currently in the U.S., only 5% of practicing physicians are Black, while 13% of the U.S. population is Black. And data shows that Black patients have better outcomes with Black doctors because they are more likely to follow their directions. So the medical school grants will allow officials to provide scholarships up to $100,000 to nearly every medical student currently enrolled and receiving financial aid over the next 4 years. They say that COVID-19 has been especially devastating for the Black community, and the scarcity of Black doctors practicing in Black communities is one reason for it. So more Black doctors will mean more Black lives saved and fewer health problems that limit economic opportunity in Black communities. So pretty cool. He says, during my campaign for president, I proposed a set of bold policies, which we called the Greenwood Initiative, to increase generational wealth among Black families and shrink the racial wealth gap. The commitment Bloomberg Philanthropies is making today is just the first step we will take to bring that work to life. So Meharry Medical College, Howard University College of Medicine, Morehouse School of Medicine, and Charles R. Junior University of Medicine and Science will each determine the eligibility of their students currently enrolled. And then in 2020, over 50% of all students enrolled at these 4 schools should benefit from this gift. And then the grant unveiled, that was just unveiled on September 3rd, also includes wrap-around services, is what they're calling it. So such as financial counseling for students. They said that this transformation gift from Bloomberg will significantly ease the burden of debt for our students, allowing them to make the decision of what and where they practice based on passion, not a paycheck, which is just so, so cool and important. So I wanted to finish off today's episode with that because it doesn't get much better than that good news. So thank you so much for listening to GSMC, America's Still Beautiful podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. I so appreciate you being here. It means the world to me. So please do not forget to hit that subscribe button, to like and follow us on social media. I post on the Facebook, the Instagram, and the Twitter regularly. daily. I give you updates. I like to chat with you. So head over there and engage with me. I would love to have a conversation with you. As well as do not forget to leave a 5-star review. It only takes a couple seconds to click the 5-star button, to leave your little review, leave your comment, and it makes such a difference for the podcast in general. In my life, it just brings so much warmth and happiness to me to read those reviews. So do not forget to subscribe, like, and review. Thank you for being here. I look forward to sharing more positive, feel-good stories with you next time. Stay happy, stay healthy, and spread kindness every single chance that you get. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows. From the GSMC Podcast Network, from social media news to marketing news, and even weird news, the GSMC Podcast Network has you covered. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast.